Okay, as most of you know, I have a cousin who is a Virginia State Trooper, no, sorry, a New York State Trooper, and a member of the Army National Guard. Well, my cousin is going to be going to South Africa for 2 years for deployment to help the South African military prepare their own defenses. Now, backstory on my cousin. He's my cousin, my uncle's son. Now, his mother and my uncle didn't always get along. They broke up very fast. And from the time he was a baby to the time he was 17, he didn't really know much about his father's family, even though he grew up in the same town as we do. Swear upon God. He grew up in the same town. He had no idea he had cousins, aunts and uncles, even a sister and a stepsister living in this town. And he eventually found his family, and we've been able to see him and talk to him from time to time, and we enjoy the time we have together. In 2006, what happened was he spent 8 years as an officer in the National Guard on full-time duty. National Guard full-time duty means you're there every day. Part-time duty means 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. He spent 8 years on National Guard active duty Then he changed his obligation to part-time duty to become a New York State Trooper. While he was in the Trooper Academy, my uncle passed away from liver failure. Anyway, the joke is part-time duty is 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, but they can activate you anytime they feel like it. They can call you up in the middle of the night and say, okay, you're going to come to the base now, and you're going to wait for 6 months. Or they can say, next January, you have to fly to this country and stay there for 2 years. That's the thing about part-time and reserve service. 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year could turn into a year-long deployment somewhere. And after 9/11, my cousin did airport security with the Guard. I actually, years later, did a terrorism oral presentation for my terrorism class, and he held an oral presentation. He did Iraq in 2004. He did Afghanistan. He was even a liaison officer in Dubai. He walked around with a civilian suit all day and talked to delegates. So he's been doing a lot of stuff lately. And the joke is, he's never with the state police. He's always being sent away for missions. And he and his wife is also a Guard officer. He was actually her superior when they met. He was her commanding officer when they met. Yeah. They have a program in the United States where every state guard is hooked up with some country. And that state guard sends people to that country to help better train that country's own military. And my cousin and his wife requested and are receiving orders to go to South Africa for 2 years and even bring their children along with them. Brian Jr. is 5 and Grace is 2. Grace is born on the same birthday as our late grandmother, God rest her soul. And the kids are going to go down there with them, and the kids are going to have things for them to do, schooling for them and stuff like that in South Africa. And my cousin and his wife are going to help train the South African military to better defend themselves. And my mom is really, really worried about them because, you know, my uncle's gone now. He's the oldest grandchild, and my mom and him are very close. Now, who watches Gotham on Fox? Gotham is Gotham City when Bruce Wayne is growing up. And you get to see origin stories for certain characters. In fact, one episode airs tonight. Cameron Bikondova is Catwoman. Catwoman as a teenage girl. Now, if you watch this show, she is the nastiest skell in the world. Because Catwoman is a nasty skell. She steals. She has no conscience. Your grandmother could give you a diamond necklace on her deathbed. and she'll steal it knowing it's your grandmother's and sell it anyway. On this show, I don't want to spoil it. If you want to see the show, catch up online. She plays the absolute nastiest skell in the world. Total no conscience. Every episode she commits a felony, robbery, burglary, pickpocketing, mugging. I mean, just absolute nasty person. Now, in real life, Cameron Bekandova is the sweetest, most proper young lady in the world. I must have talked to over a dozen Gotham cast members on Twitter. Follow me at VinnyS914. And in September last year, before the show started, I was sending her videos about Catwoman's history. Someone uploaded Batman 1 storyboards on YouTube, and Batman 1 was 64 pages long. But years ago in a comic book, they'd have a 64-page comic book, and they'd have about 10 stories in it. There's 2 Joker stories in Batman 1, there's 1 Catwoman story in Batman 1. And it's the entire story unedited, and I sent it to her because the Batman 1 cost $1 million today. So I sent her the original Catwoman story. I sent her a Catwoman origin video from WatchMojo.com. I'll put the links below. And she filmed a couple episodes already, but I wanted to let her know what her character was. I was sending her nice things. So polite. She goes out of her way to say thank you to me. Very proper young lady. Now, Cameron Bekandova's mother was a sailor in her younger days, and her father is to this day an active SEAL. And she's very involved in animal charities, playing Catwoman obviously, has cats playing Catwoman, but she's involved in veterans charities. She's involved in a lot of SEAL charities for her father. And I told her on Twitter, I said, my cousin's going on this deployment for 2 years. My mom is worried sick about him. My mom is crying, blah, 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 blah. She is such a sweet young lady. Tell your cousin I said thank you. She's such a proper young lady. And I think that this video, I think I should acknowledge that from her. Because we're talking about my cousin and his wife and their service to our country. But this young lady who was an actress on TV, who knows nothing about my family at all. I told her, my cousin's going away for a couple of years. My mom's real worried. It's okay. Tell them I said thank you for their service, blah, blah, blah. Totally proper young lady. Okay? On TV, you want to just punch her in the mouth because she's so disgusting. But when you see her in real life, of all the celebrities that drink and do drugs and beat up their wives and steal and hate this country with a passion, you have a proper young lady here who is an excellent actress. She is very proper. The daughter of 2 veterans, one still on active duty, I might add, her father. Just such a proper lady, and I should acknowledge that from her. And I should thank her for wishing my cousin, his family well. And I should also thank her parents for what they've done for this country as well. And because her father is a SEAL, I'm wearing my Chris Kyle shirt today. So we're going to wish my cousin well. He's going to be deploying in June. My cousin is a major, and if this mission works out good for him, he may very well come back a colonel, or he may very well come back and be promoted to colonel after coming back from this mission. It's all about preparing this allied country to defend itself, and if he can prove that he can lead other forces as well as American forces, if he can prove that he can deal with international relations, that would work very strongly to bring him up to at least lieutenant colonel. So I'd like to wish my cousin well, and I'd like to thank Cameron Bekandova's father for his continued service to our country. We know that he has a very, very dangerous job to do. We know that most of the stuff he does is not known, but him and his wife did a very good job raising a proper young lady. They really did. So, thank you.